Today, we're going to look at the verb to do, looking at do, does, and did, and the way it's used, not always in a positive sentence or statement, but the way it often needs to be included in a negative statement, and also how it has to be used in a question. Okay, so I've just got an example here to show you what I mean. Okay, so just a simple sentence, you walk. Okay, you walk. So we've got the pronoun, you, the person, P for pronoun, P for person, okay? And the verb, to walk, you walk, okay? But what happens, now this is in the present tense, and what happens is in some tenses you have to use do, but in other tenses you don't need it. So we're going to see the different types of sentence with different tenses to show when to use it and when not to use it, and also how to use it, okay? So, you walk, simple present tense. If you turn that into the negative, it's you do not walk, or you don't walk. You can't just say you not walk. You have to use you do not walk. And so because do is also a verb, the way it's used here is to sort of help the meaning, and that means it's called an auxiliary verb, okay? So I'll just put AUX, auxiliary verb, and then not is the negative. Okay, so you do not walk or you don't walk. In speech, when we're speaking, we say you don't. Maybe if you're writing a formal essay for an exam, it's best not to use contractions, abbreviations like don't. It's better to use do not. Okay, so you do not walk. That's the negative. Okay, and then again, if we turn it into a question and you're asking the person, it's do, again, do you walk? So you walk, do you walk? Okay, so do is the auxiliary, you is the person, the pronoun, and walk is the verb. Okay, so you walk, you don't walk, do you walk? Okay, so there in the simple present tense, for the negative and for the question, you need to use do as an extra and as an auxiliary verb. Okay. Right, so now I've got some little exercises to give you a chance to see if you can do them yourself before I say what they should be, okay? So we've got this one here. I swim every day. Very healthy. I don't actually, but some people do. Swimming in a swimming pool. I swim every day. Okay, so if you were going to turn that into the negative, I just said it probably without realizing. I hope you've forgotten what I said now when I gave you the negative. I'm not going to do that every time. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay, so I swim every day. What would be the negative? Just have a think before I tell you what it should be. I then we have to use do not, don't, I don't. And then it's the same. We've got walk there and walk there. So it's just, I don't swim every day. Okay, so you just have to put don't in there. I don't swim every day. Okay. And then again, for the question version of it, I swim every day. And then somebody asks, or I ask, I don't know why I would ask that question. I should know the answer, but what should it be? Do I swim every day? So swim every day. Walk, swim every day. Do I swim every day? Okay, so it's always do at the beginning of the question, and then you just use the same words. Okay, so let's try the next one. I hope by now that you understand what I'm explaining about the verb to do. You understand. Okay. Now, what if it's still negative? I'm not going to say it this time. I'll leave it for you to think. How would you say the negative of this? You understand. Okay, so it's you, like this one here. Don't. Sorry about my writing. You don't, and then understand again. Okay, you understand, you don't understand. Right? And then the question version, I've already started it with do. So if I'm asking you, yes or no, do you understand? Okay, so do you understand? And the question mark, of course, at the end. Always remember the question mark. Right, okay, so I hope that's clear so far. Now, let's try this one. This is still present tense, simple present tense. Okay. He smokes cigarettes, very bad habit. He smokes cigarettes. Now, and then he gives up smoking. He quits smoking. He stops. Very sensible. So, it's now the negative situation. No more cigarettes. So now something funny happens here. Because we're talking about he, we have to change the verb. If it was, for example, I smoke, you smoke, we don't have the S on the end. But because we've got he smokes, this is where we put the S on the end of the verb. He, she, it smokes. So that affects what happens here. Okay. And instead of don't, we have to use doesn't or does not. Okay, so it's either does not, D-O-E-S, not, or D-O-E-S-N apostrophe T. He does not, he doesn't. And then something else happens. Because we've got an S now in does, we've got an S here, we no longer need the S there. So we say he doesn't smoke cigarettes. Okay? he doesn't smoke.